Welcome to Matters Financial and Geopolitical from a Frontier. Thank you kindly for stopping by. I do appreciate it. I've been trying to do this podcast for about half an hour, and each time I get into it, there's a power cut. So these are the travails of living in Nairobi, especially when you've had some heavy rains. Yesterday I took this photograph at 5:15 of the city of Nairobi, and as the rain came, but you could also see some blue sky in front of you as well. And last night was quite a night. Thunder, lightning, bucket loads of rain. And Al Jazeera had tweeted it sounded like a tractor trailer passing by the road, rattling and shaking and guttural. They were of course talking about a volcanic eruption, but it felt the same where I was sleeping. According to the World Wildlife Fund, Earth's oceans have an economic value of $24 trillion, and I was thinking to myself, that's something that Ali the Navigator should be told. Ali, of course, took us to Wasini Island, and we had a thoroughly enjoyable time there. I'll put up a photograph of him. I bet you he's never thought it was 24 trillion. I bet you his concerns are probably a little bit smaller on a day-to-day basis, given what's happened with the tourism industry here in Kenya. Somerville, BBC. Boy, don't cross. Boy, don't cross. Messages from friends on one migrant's Facebook. Isn't that powerful? And what a terrible tragedy it is to be searching for a better life and to find yourself drowning in the ocean. It's just appalling. Very Old Pics tweeted, a British Army bomb disposal specialist approaches a suspect vehicle in Northern Ireland 1970. Have a look at that picture. It's pretty powerful and arresting, that's for sure. The Washington Post a long time ago in 1994 detailed Hillary Clinton's futures trading in, of all things, cattle futures. It's well worth reading. That link is on Rich Wrap-Ups. Hillary Rodham Clinton was allowed to order 10 cattle futures contracts, normally a $12,000 investment, in her first commodity trade in 1978. Although she had only $1,000 in her account at the time, according to trade records the White House released yesterday. This is 1994. The computerized records of her trades, which the White House obtained from the Chicago Mercantile Exchange, show for the first time how she was able to turn her initial investment into $6,300 overnight. In about 10 months of trading, she made nearly $100,000, relying heavily on advice from her friend James B. Blair, an experienced futures trader. New records also raise the possibility that some of her profits, as much as $40,000, came from larger trades ordered by someone else and then shifted to her account. Leo Melamed, a former chairman of the Merc who reviewed the records for the White House, said in an interview. He said the discrepancies in Clinton's records also could have been caused by human error. Even allocated trades would not necessarily have benefited Clinton. Melamed added, I have no reason to change my original assessment. Mrs. Clinton violated no rules in the course of her transactions. A close examination of her individual trades underscores Blair's pivotal role. It also shows that Robert L. Red Bone, who ran the Springdale, Arkansas office of Ray E. Friedman & Co., REFCO, allowed Clinton to initiate and maintain many trading positions besides the first, when she did not have enough money in her account to cover them. And essentially she made a very tidy profit. Hud Sader, who I follow on Twitter and is a very interesting individual, I must admit, says this was clearly a payoff. My point is she made her money. She did what many other people never do, booked her profits and moved on. A lot of detail in that Washington Post report if you're interested in going back to it. I like this photograph from Mashable. Hillary Clinton, before the BlackBerry, Hillary Clinton had a Game Boy in her hands. And then I'll leave you with a quote from King Richard III, which suddenly came to me, and thus I clothe my naked villainy. I'm not speaking about Hillary, whom I quite admire, and seem of saint when most I play the devil. International markets, Nasdaq closes at new record and tops its March 2000 high, advanced for a fourth day, rising 0.5% to 5064. the beta has almost quadrupled since global equity markets bottomed in March 2009, paced by gains in tech giants from Apple to Google Inc. Several companies associated with the 2000 peak have been enjoying their best gains in years, with Microsoft up 62% since the start of 2013, Intel up 56%, and Cisco rising 46%. They're all below their 2000 highs, by the way, which is worth remembering. On that point, on the Nasdaq point, Google, the number of ads or paid clicks rose 13%, while the average price of online ads or cost per click declined 7%. In a conference call, Pichette highlighted mobile ads as a key source of revenue growth during the quarter. We're experiencing real strength in mobile search, and I think that just speaks to the fact that it's a mobile world now, isn't it? Richard Barley tweeted the great Bund sell-off of 2015, and for those who trade Bunds, you'll know it was about 2 basis points or something, because it's rallied right down now. It's in seriously positive territory. Currency markets are all over the shop. Let me just touch on a few. When I walked in this morning, the euro was around the 108 level, just below. Now it's at 108.66. Dollar index I haven't been able to check. Japanese yen 119.55. Swissy, that news that they were going to charge 0.75 on more accounts really did not weaken up the Swissy at all. The pound was sitting at 151.31 strong. Aussie must be above 78. The Real is below 3. That's a big and important signifier. And the Rand, when I checked last, was 12.13.52, but I'm sure it's firmer now. Dollar index, I'll put up a 3-month chart. I think I'm still bullish about the dollar. I think we've had a soft patch in the US economy, and it'll be a soft patch like it was actually, a replay of last year as well, weather related. Euro dollar, strong rebound, 108.64, market short, suppressed constructive, shorts covered, and we got this move right up to 109 actually, where it stalled. Nanex LLC, who's worth following on Twitter, another example of Sarao's algo in action that we posted 10 minutes after it happened. This is going back. Do have a look at that. And really, I think it's a very strange situation. I think he's a scapegoat, because I can imagine banks were able to do what he's doing to a multiple of 1,000. Samsung speeds up production of curved S6 with demand soaring. This is a report on Bloomberg. Began production at a third factory for curved smartphone screens sooner than expected as demand surges for its Galaxy S6 Edge smartphone. And it is a rather sexy phone, I must admit. They expect to sell more than 70 million units of the new phone, the Korea Times reported April 15. I'll put up a photograph of an employee showing the curved screen of a new Galaxy S6 Edge smartphone device, and they've really come back firing on all cylinders, in my view, with this new phone. Airports provide nap time for the weary in Nordic designer pods. The solution came in the form of Helsinki Airport's latest passenger feature, the designer sleeping pod the size of a large bathtub, complete with a blind to conceal the occupant, a charging point for phones, and a luggage compartment under the cocoon's reclining seat. They look rather good. Commodity markets, gold, where are we? 1191 area. Crude oil around the 57.50 area. Crude at 2015 highs yesterday, but I think it's gotten overcooked. Gold is interestingly trading very, very soft, not reacting to currency movements as it used to. We've got to keep an eye on that. I think WTI can go back down to 50 quite easily. Emerging markets, I like this tweet from the Times of India. Dehradun mountaineer twins first to conquer both poles on skis. And I'll put up their image. They look rather pleased with themselves, and who wouldn't be? Sub-Saharan Africa, military spending in Africa increased by 5.9% in 2014, with the top 2 spenders, Algeria and Angola, both major oil producers, increasing their spending by 12 and 6.7%. The interesting point about that is Angola in particular will have to reduce spending. But according to CIPRI's Trends in World Military Expenditure 2014, Africa once again saw the largest year-on-year increase in military expenditure of any region at 5.9%, reaching $50.2 billion. Military spending in the region has increased by 91% since 2005. Africa's two biggest spenders, Algeria and Angola, continued their rapid military spending increases financed by high oil revenues no more. NATO has opened an office in Djibouti to support anti-piracy efforts. Foreign Minister Mahmoud Ali Yusuf and NATO Deputy Assistant Secretary General for Operations Francesco Tardioli signed an agreement on Wednesday, NATO said in a statement. Foreign Minister Mahmoud Ali Yusuf, the office will facilitate greater operational, logistic and administrative coordination. NATO warships and aircraft have been conducting Operation Ocean Shield, a counter-piracy operation off the Horn of Africa. And actually I participated in something on that 718 days ago at the invitation of the Italian Embassy. I'll put up a photograph of fellows scanning the horizon for pirates on the San Marco, and then another one, I'll put up a photograph of the deck of the San Marco at night, and you can see the helicopter in the background. Burundi on knife edge over president's possible third-term run. Yet to say if he will stand in the June 26th vote, but diplomats and opponents expect him to run, even though they say it would violate the constitution and the Arusha peace deal. If Nkurunziza decides to run for a third term, he will be opening doors for another war, said prominent rights activist Pierre Claver Bonimpa. This will be a coup d'etat against the constitution, against the Arusha peace agreement. Very, very stressed out, and people who should know tell me that it's on a knife edge. I'll put up an image that RFI Afrique tweeted. Burundi pour dissuader les manifestants. Le gouvernement menace. President Kagame met Nkurunziza on April the 13th to discuss Burundi's political turmoil and insecurity concerns. I'll put up a photograph of that meeting that was tweeted. Moving on, South African all-share is up 11.4% year to date and is at record all-time highs. It rallied 0.75% yesterday. It's really put in a tremendous performance this year, a blistering rally, and I think that speaks to the liquidity coming out of Europe. I'll put a photograph of the Johannesburg sunset taken 384 days ago, a link to an article I wrote, Snapshots from South Africa and its role in Africa's economy. Dollar rand, I haven't had a chance to check, and I'm sure it's doing better than when it was this morning at 12.13, around there. Egyptian pound 762.34. Egyptian stock market is down 1.22% in 2015. Nigerian all shares up 2.19% this year, but it's up about 25% since closing at a 2-year low in the middle of February, probably February the 13th. Ghana Stock Exchange is up 0.039% in 2015. Mozambique gas will be very competitive due to low extraction costs. As any low extraction cost of natural gas in the country, Eni's LNG facilities to become operational in Mozambique in 2020. Mozambique is good because the upstream side is not very expensive, it is fast and cheap, so it can be very competitive in the market. I'll put up a photograph of Maputo taken from the sea 1,054 days ago. At the end of each day, the Kenyan police close the border gate between Mandera and Bulawayo in Somalia. The two sides of the border are highly interconnected. This is a photograph from the New York Times. Of course, they want to build a wall now there. I'm not sure that is such a brilliant idea. Safaricom is up 22.41% this year. Will report full year earnings May the 7th. It's 5 cents off a record closing high. If you haven't seen the interview I did with Bob after the first half results, do have a look at that. I'm doing also an interview with him after the full year results release on May the 7th. KCB is up 12.28% year to date. Equity Group had a strong session yesterday and is now down just 1.5% in 2015. Britam, which has been all over the place and opens this morning down 31.09%. traded limit down 3 sessions ago, limit down 2 sessions ago. Yesterday it was closed at trading limit up, and today it's trading limit up. But it remains down 31.09% so far this year. Kenya shilling 93.974. Daudi Nanambi, who I follow on Twitter, says April 2015 is the worst month for the Kenya shilling since late 2013. And I wrote about this over the weekend in my piece when I said even the shilling, which is at 3-year lows, does not look so Teflon now. Nairobi all shares up 5.334% in 2015, 3.34% below a record high reached February the 29th, 2015. NAC 20 closed at December 24th low. It's down 1.682% year to date, and that's noteworthy. Kenya Pix tweeted, "Good morning, Mombasa," and I had to put up that photograph because it's my hometown. I'll also put up a photograph that I took of the Fort Jesus on December the 26th. Vimal Shah has been interviewed in Bloomberg. He says we want to grow 4-fold within the next 5 years. Very interesting interview. Edible oils manufacturer considering building plants in Mozambique, Madagascar or Ethiopia by the end of the decade to add to existing operations in Kenya, Tanzania and Uganda. Company trades in 16 African countries, posted sales of $500 million late last year, half of that in Kenya. We're targeting growth of $1 billion in Kenya alone within that period. Nairobi all share was down yesterday, 0.21 points. NAC 20 retreated 1606 points to a fresh 2015 low. Safaricom back within 0.289% of a record. Britam snapped a losing streak, which has seen it retreat 31.93% before yesterday morning. Safaricom, I expected to push on to new highs. Uchumi was strong yesterday, up 3.45%. It would be good to know what Jamie Bora's up to, but I'm sure he's not there for any altruistic reasons, that's for certain. Nation Media was low, ticked 5.084% yesterday. KCB is talking about the bank assurance proposition, ticked 0.78% lower, but it's up 12.28% in 2015 and just 1.53% below a record high. Equity Group rebounded. I've already told you about Britam. It had retreated 31.93% through yesterday morning, endured 2 consecutive limit down sessions, Tuesday and Wednesday of this week, snapped the losing streak to firm 1.2345% yesterday, closed at 20 to 50, traded heavy volume, and it was then trading at limit up where it's trading now. And if Mr. Rawat, who holds over 20% of his shares, is compelled to disgorge his holding, this might represent an interesting opportunity for a new or existing player, and that line of thinking might well have informed yesterday's and today's move high. Put up a link for it. BAT has been all over the shop, rebounded 11.88% since Thursday last week, and gave back 8.67% yesterday. Mumia Sugar Farmer up 2.27% to close at 225, and had buyers for 1,100% of the total volume traded during the session, which is a signal of its very own that you might care to listen to. Once again, thank you for stopping by. I am grateful. I wish you a great weekend. I really appreciate the support for my little experiment in over-the-top broadcasting, and thank you kindly, and I'll leave you with that.